So hello, today we have the opportunity to talk with Andrew Holland. He is the Budget Engagement Manager of the city of Durham, North Carolina. So we're gonna talk with him because this year the IOPD has recognized the experience of humanizing the budget process with a special mention of our award. So Andrew, thank you very much for having your time with us. So perhaps to begin with, could you briefly give a little context about your city, about, I don't know, population, social distribution, a bit of historical and political context to just to introduce the experience?
Yes, so the city of Durham has a population of around 280,000 people. The city of Durham is located in North Carolina, which is in the southern region of the United States. Also, the city of Durham is located and is part of the Research Triangle Park, which includes the Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill area, in which the Research Triangle Park includes a lot of high-tech, biotech, technological companies. We also have prominent universities such as UNC Chapel Hill, Duke University, North Carolina State University, and also North Carolina Central University.
Perfect, thank you. So now getting down to business, could you briefly explain the experience of the participatory budgeting, on how the budgeting experience is working in Durham, and which is the engagement that citizens are able to make?
Yes, so participatory budgeting, specifically PB Durham, was adopted in May of 2018 by our city council. They made a decision to allocate $2.4 million for the purposes of allowing residents 13 years and older to decide how to spend those funds. So if you go and look at our overall budget, especially during that time, we had a budget of $500 million budget. So the way that the $2.4 million was divided was each council district, which we have 3 council districts, would get $800,000 a piece, which of course it equates to $2.4 million. So as I said before, as long as you're 13 years and older, you can participate. The first phase was ideal collection. And during that phase, residents had opportunity to submit project ideas. They could submit those ideas using our MapSeed. It's a mapping tool, virtual mapping tool, in which they could type in their address. If they wanted a new park or park amenities, they can say we would like a new swing or a slide, and that particular project would be placed in that particular address. During that phase of ideal collection, we received over 500 project ideas. So we were very excited about that. We were able to reach our goal. The second phase was proposal development, in which we had over 100 budget delegates, also residents, who worked with our city technical staff to vet these projects. And this was based upon looking at each of the projects and determining whether the projects were equitable. They had to look at the impact of the project and also the feasibility of the project. So going into voting, we had about 40 projects that were placed on the ballot, which, again, as long as you're 13 years and older, you could vote on these projects. During voting, that voting took place for the entire month of May, and we had over 10,000 residents that voted for projects. So we're currently in the implementation phase of PB, in which we have already implemented several of our projects, such as the planting of 1,500 street trees. We've also allocated approximately $100,000 to mental health services. So we're very excited about the progress that we've made.
Yeah, sounds really a large involvement, a large project. So which is the relations between this PB, the participatory budgeting, and the other mechanism of citizen engagement, citizen participation of the city, or maybe like the traditional ways to involve like in the city council or other like more common ways of citizen participation?
Yes. So in regards to voting, we wanted to make it as easy as possible for folks to vote. That's why we were able to partner with PB Stanford, which is housed at Stanford University out in California. And this was a virtual platform in which residents could go on their phones and they would have the opportunity to vote on their phones. Of course, they could utilize their computers, laptops to vote. Another way in which we were able to engage residents was, we were very strategic in meeting people where they are, as opposed to having them come to us. I know in the past, especially with a lot of engagements, in North Carolina, folks would invite the community to a community meeting at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening time. And we felt as though that was somewhat of a disadvantage, especially for folks who may not have transportation. They may be, working a second or third job where they may not have the opportunity to attend those meetings. So we were very strategic in going to the bus stations and engaging folks in that way. We were also very successful in canvassing different neighborhoods in Durham where we would knock on doors, where we would ask folks, what would you do with $2.4 million? We also utilized that during voting, where we knocked on doors. We went to the courthouse. We also were able to engage our justice involved individuals, where we actually went to the Durham County Jail, where we were able to get these individuals to vote. And they were very ecstatic just knowing that they had an opportunity to vote. Again, we wanted to make it easier as possible for folks to be part of PB Durham.
Great, fantastic. So in another way, could you tell us about the main challenges you faced when implementing the PB?
I would say our main challenge occurred during proposal development. Going in, we did not realize how intense that particular process was going to be, especially when it came to a lot of our more technical engineer type projects like sidewalks, streets, those type of engineering type of projects. And another issue that we faced was we realized that proposal development was too short. So proposal development only lasted for about 3 months. And I would say, proposal development should be at least 4 to 5 months, because to develop these projects, it takes several rounds of vetting. And also it takes a lot of research also in working closely with our technical staff, in which our budget delegates were able to do. But at the same time, our technical staff, they did have, existing work already, aside from the work with PB. So I would say proposal development was the most challenging process.
Good. Okay. And can you point out any transformation or as a consequence of this of the PB in institutional political terms, maybe like changing the way that local officials work with like technicians, of municipal agents. So yeah, some changes in the way that the local government works.
Yeah, so I would say since the implementation of PB, a lot of some of our departments are changing the way in which they are engaging the community, the residents. One example is our comprehensive plan. We're actually doing a refresh. This is with our planning department, in which they are actually uh, taking our blueprint with our budget delegates. They have a different name. They're called engagement ambassadors. And those engagement ambassadors are individuals that are rooted in the communities of Durham. And their job is really to serve as, again, ambassadors or liaisons to the city and the community where they are already entrusted with the community, where they have the ability to go through training, and also be the trusted, individuals to communicate information to the residents about the comprehensive plan, and also be able to retrieve information about exactly, what they would like to see, within the comprehensive plan. So I would say that would be one of the key factors. Another thing is, which I thought was very intriguing, was since PB, we've seen a uptick in our local elections where we've seen more residents vote in our local elections as compared to previous local elections. We've also seen an uptick in individuals who are applying for board and commissions, within our city government. And we feel pretty confident that, there's a correlation between the implementation of PB and also the uptick in the local, votes in the local elections, and also the number of individuals who are applying for the boards and commissions within our city.
Thanks. And related to the assessment or the evaluation of the PB, can the community people play a role in this accountability process regarding, in particular, the implementation of the winning project, no, of the most voted project? So, which is how it works, the evaluation of the project?
Yes. So, so we actually have a platform already within the city where, this platform really provides residents a snapshot into where the projects are at in regards to implementation. We update this platform on a quarterly basis. So if residents have a question about a particular project or why that project is falling behind the original schedule of implementation, they can reach out to the budget department and, specifically to me as it relates to PB projects. Another thing that we wanted to do, especially with the implementation of the PB projects, is to continue to engage residents, during the implementation of these projects. So we've had several community meetings in regards to expectations of when the projects are going to be implemented. There were some community meetings where we wanted to continue to engage neighborhoods as far as exactly, what they would like as far as design of particular projects. That was key to continue to keep residents engaged. So we're very transparent in how we go about, implementing our winning projects.
Great. And looking ahead, What are your intention to improve for next year, for next editions of the PB?
Yes. So at the end of PB Cycle 1, we had the opportunity um, to hire a third-party evaluator, which is North Carolina Central University. That is a historically Black university in Durham to conduct our evaluation. And this was very instrumental because it really gave us an opportunity to determine, what we were able to, what things we did well and some of the things that we didn't do so well. So some of the key findings from that evaluation was, as I stated before, was proposal development. That was too short. So going into PB Cycle 2, our goal is to try to extend proposal development. Another finding that came out of the evaluation was to identify a virtual tool to get more individuals involved. So we've identified a virtual tool, Social Pinpoint, where we will better engage our residents, where individuals can get more updates about what is going on with PB Durham. We plan to use this tool, especially during COVID, during the pandemic, because we know that our efforts of engaging residents face to face are going to be extremely limited due to the pandemic. So the Social Pinpoint platform is going to help us to bridge that gap.
Yeah, I think the digital gap is one of the problems also for the engagement. No? So, what your opinion about the digital way to engage? Do you think it's really a great opportunity for engage more people to reach like communities that don't use not they are not used to participate, or it's really a danger sometimes for this gap, or maybe also for the big companies that are allowing these platforms. So, what's your opinion on the digital tools for engagement?
Yeah, well, I think it's somewhat of a double-edged sword in a way. We are mindful about some individuals who may not have access to technology. One of our approaches is to sort of have a hybrid engagement approach where, as I said it before, our engagement is not going to be at a larger scale as far as face to face, but at the same time, we are going to knock on doors, and we're going to identify those areas in which they are considered, more of your underserved, areas within Durham where we're going to have those face-to-face, engagements with these individuals. I think with some of these digital platforms, they're able to send out text messages, to individuals in which, they will have the same type of, access as someone who would be in front of their computer. I feel as though, there's been great improvements with these companies understanding the importance of having tools that will engage your more marginalized communities. But of course, there isn't a perfect tool at all. But just knowing, the environment in which we are working in right now with COVID, I think, having that hybrid approach may be the best.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so when you have been designing the PV experience, have you been inspired by other cities, other communities that are being doing PV for longer?
Yes, one of the organizations that we really Follow is Chicago's PB process. They've been doing it for a while now. So while we were designing our process, we would definitely look to them and to get ideas about how they were able to implement their process. You know, Chicago, Durham, somewhat different. Chicago is much larger, of course, but there are other cities in the U.S. such as New York City, Cambridge. So there are several cities. One of the cities that we've been following lately has been Barcelona, where we've seen that 5% of your 5% of your PB funds are being allocated. You know, I believe what is it? I think it was 75 million euros um, are going to be allocated, you know, to residents in deciding how to spend those funds, which I think is impressive. $2.4 million to our overall $500 million is a very low percentage, but to see that Barcelona, you know, their pot of money is much larger, is very impressive and intriguing. And you know, hopefully, you know, in the future we can have a larger pot of money for residents to decide how to spend those funds. But I would say $2.4 million is a good starting point for us. And we're going to continue to look at cities, not just in the U.S., but in other countries to, you know, better our process and our program.
Okay. So, and for example, if another like local official or a local manager asks you for some advice in the way to start to begin a new PB project process or another participatory processes, what do you what do you want to say to this maybe this other local city that want to begin a process? No, what's your advices for these cities and want to start from the beginning a new processes?
I would definitely say the key. I would say the most important factor would be, you know, you want to make sure that you have some support and buy-in from your city council, and also from, you know, from employees and from management within your organization. I know that this has been important for Durham and our success because, you know, we have a council who's dedicated to ensuring that participatory budgeting Durham is successful. Also, internally, you know, we were able to get resources as far as staff capacity to help, you know, move the process along, which was very, um, you know, helpful in the implementation of PB Durham. I would also say that, you know, it's important to um, it's important to have the groundwork in place and to ensure that, you know, you have the ability to, you know, get on the ground and knock on doors and to get folks involved, because this is a community driven process. So you want to make sure that you identify those stakeholders in your community that's willing to get on board and who believes in your process so that they can be ambassadors and spreading the word about PB. And, you know, this has been extremely helpful for us because we have a very engaging, we have a very engaging community in which, you know, they were very excited about participatory budgeting Durham. And this was extremely helpful, especially for us to get over 10,000 votes. So I would say, you know, again, you know, get that support at the top, you know, identify your stakeholders, you know, also make sure that your ground game is, you know, above par. And, and I think, you know, you have a very successful program.
Yeah, definitely. It's very important to have this community so engaged and really like it's very, very important. Okay,
Hmm.
Andrew. So thank you very much. I don't know if would you like to add anything else or add an I don't know a last thing do you want to say?
No, I just want to thank you all for this opportunity to to give me an opportunity to talk about PB Durham. We were very excited to implement this program. This was really the first time for us to implement this type of program. Participatory budgeting is not a widespread program that's been adopted in the United States, but over the past year, we've seen, several communities in the United States who are interested in participatory budgeting. One community was Atlanta. So we've received several phone calls from different cities who would like to um, adopt participatory budgeting. So we're excited really to be at the forefront of participatory budgeting, and just want to thank you all, excuse me, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, it's very, very inspiring to have that spirit of experiences of PB that more cities are starting now to implement this practice and yeah to help to have like better, uh, more engaged communities and to really realize to build better policies for our cities to yeah try to have more social justice, spatial justice in our cities.